Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation for the Demo Loan Community of Practice. My name is Amy Goldman. I'm with the AT3 Center. Our topic today is a product with which you may not be familiar called VisuALS. And our presenters are Steve Mayer and Andrew Ash from VisuALS Technology Solutions. Today's presentation will run about an hour. The learner objectives for today, you'll learn about the features of VisuALS and comparisons to similar products on the market, support and training that are available, and what we always look forward to is discounts and deals for ATAC programs and their partners so that there is an opportunity for people to learn about the products by including them in our demo or loan inventories. Whoops. So some reminders. To see the captions, click on the CC button on your control panel. Enter questions and comments in the chat window, and we'll address them either at the conclusion of the panel or at logical stopping points as per our speakers. Upcoming events, and we have a lot coming up even just this week, as well as through August. So do be sure to check in at the at3center.net events page. As you know, registration links will be sent out via the AT3 listserv, and reminders often will go to the demo loan COP if it is a demo loan event. Please be sure to complete our post-webinar surveys when you receive them. We especially want to know your hot topics. So at this point, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and welcome our presenters. So Steve and Andrew, or you want to start sharing? It's all yours.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Hi, I'm Steve Mayer, and you see Andrew Ash in the other video window, and we'll be presenting on VisuALS today. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We have some slides to share first. So we have a motto, to restoring independence, dignity, and hope. Our name is VisuALS. We capitalize the ALS because, as you'll learn, that comes in our history, but it's just pronounced VisuALS generally. And our agenda for today, we want to introduce ourselves and our company to you, talk about some of our story, and then do a product overview and how to use the product, and then future plans, pricing and discounts, and any questions and comments. So our mission statement is to love our neighbors by restoring independence, dignity, and hope through affordable assistive technology solutions. And so we have a bit of a history in that one of the main things we've really been aiming at is to make assistive technology affordable, then at price points that are better than competition out there, so that a lot more people can access them that may not have the means to access other solutions. And then simple. One of the things we were given feedback early on was really try to make this the products simple to use, simple to install. We have quite a few people that, especially in the ALS world, many of them are older. They will tell us they're non-techie, and so we've tried to put a lot of technology into the product and to make it not seem very techy and to be easy to use, easy to set up, and so on. And then the last one is supportive, be able to support the technology that we provide in solutions, then also emotionally support as well, just being sympathetic to the situations. All right, so to introduce ourselves, that's kind of a short intro of the overall company. I'm the CEO, co-founder of the company, and my actual full-time job is a professor of electrical and computer engineering at Oklahoma Christian University. And so this is a part-time assignment for me. And then Andrew Ash is my director of development and operations. He's a senior in electrical engineering at Oklahoma Christian. And so some of my history dates back. I've been was in the job world for many years at Intel. And then I've been at Oklahoma Christian now 18 years. And then obviously Andrew's been at Oklahoma Christian 3 years. Anyway, so getting on to some of our story, just to give you some background of where this came from and some company progress. So we started in 2015 actually as a senior capstone project at Oklahoma Christian University. We had a graduate student who had a friend who had ALS that approached us, and we assigned a senior team to develop something for that patient. They were losing the use of their hands. So a lot of it was, could we use a camera or some technology on the computer or the tablet to help them use a computer without their hands? And that was the primary goal. They actually were able to prototype the product and demonstrate it to the patient before he actually passed away in the middle of the project. And then they finished out what they had planned to do. That was a really good prototype. Then the second team, which actually named themselves VisuALS, launched in 2016. And their charter was to get it to a product that we could ship, that we could deploy. And they got very close to that in the in the January of 2017. They met a man by the name of Carl Phelps, who became our beta tester. And he did a great job giving us feedback and providing information. And we ended up getting some media coverage back in 2017 on this, and had a nice little splash when we launched. And then in the summer, we finished out the product and launched the company at the end of the summer, to September 1st of 2017. And unfortunately, Carl passed away 9 days later, but he gave a wonderful speech at our launch party that he prepared on our system, and prepared and delivered both on our system. Anyway, so that's our genesis, if you will. And then this is a couple of photos. The first team called themselves iPad, and here they are with Wayton, our original patient, working on the original prototype. And then to the right is Carl working with the VisuALS team and actually speaking to us and communicating to us to give us feedback. He had bulbar onset ALS, which where you lose your voice first, actually. And so he hadn't been able to speak in over a year. And one of the things he kept telling us is that he's able to tell his wife that he loved her, and he would do that every day, many times. And then he gave us lots of good feedback, especially on the text-to-speech application. Anyway, so what the team decisions ended up being for the system was a Windows-based laptop or tablet plus an optional monitor, a Tobii gaming or eye tracking bar. So from actually the Tobii gaming division, and it would be something that students would do, right? To come up with something to use from a gaming division of a company. And then we had developed quite a bit of software, and so we decided to go with custom developed software applications. That's one thing that's a strength at Oklahoma Christian is software engineering and computer science. So we decided to do that, and that would be our main value added. And then the second would be a stand or a case to integrate everything, to have everything fit together, and to have the eye-bar be protected. And so there are a number of things we developed there to come up with something very easy to use, very simple to use. And then we needed a method to either sit on a table or mount to a wheelchair. And we also were looking into mounting to a bed or someone who's bedridden. And then at times you'll need a keyboard. And so for a tablet, we would want a Bluetooth keyboard. And so that's generally what they came up with in that summer of 17 is when we settled on the product that we will be showing here in a few minutes. The VisuALS company since then now has product in over 25 states, and we have 2 systems overseas. We actually don't officially have international shipping yet, but we're working on that to have that done by the end of this month or this summer. We actually employ mostly students, so the only non-students, if you will, have been the first CEO, Russ McGuire, and then he handed the reins to me, and so we oversee everything, but then we employ students to do the software development, to do the hardware work, look at applications, and do all the support and operations. And one thing I mentioned to Amy when we first met was we're still seem to be small. We're definitely small, and we seem to be very unknown, relatively unknown at this point. So we're hoping to continue to get the word around about us because we think we have a good product and a good thing going. And then here's some of our individual customers to the left. And these were people mostly stricken with ALS, some with other conditions. And then we do have many people with stroke. Many of our systems go to stroke victims, and then some other accident victims and so on. And then you see the institutional customers toward the on the right, which is Integris, which is the ALS Center in Oklahoma, has been a big supporter of ours, and they got 5 systems and use them to give out to patients that then use them for a while. And so sometimes a few of them have turned around and given the loaner back and bought the system from us. And then the ALS Association for Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, and also the ALS Association for Rocky Mountain chapter has bought 3 each, and have kind of doing it for the same reason. The Mayo Clinic bought 4, and all of those are for patients to use and to work with the patients on it. And you see some others, Cincinnati Children's, University of Northern Iowa. There are other institutional customers as well, and many other individual customers. And that just gives you an idea of what we're reaching. It seems like word of mouth or people who find our website, because we don't have people traveling around or reps all over the country at this point. And so we like to get the word out through webinars and through our website. Anyway, we're going to go into the product overview now and how to use the product, and most of that will be done by Andrew. So I'll hand it over to him at this point.
All right, let's go ahead and go to the next slide, and we'll take a look at the hardware. Okay, so Steve mentioned what the original team was working with when they decided on the system. And in general, we stayed with that, but we'll go in a little bit more detail here. So what the VisuALS system has in the package is a Windows Surface Pro tablet. What's important about that is that the tablet is light. It is very easy to put on a wheelchair, put on a table. It's not heavy to carry around or transport with the patient. Then it comes with a Bluetooth keyboard and speaker. The keyboard is so that a caregiver can interact with the computer, do anything online that they need to do, help out in any way, so that they can use that computer at the same time as the patient if need be. And then that speaker is so that whatever the patient is saying can be heard wherever they need it to be heard. And then the Surface Pro tablet, as well as the Tobii eye tracker, are put into a custom-built case, holds everything together, keeps it all steady and secure. And then the customer can choose one of 4 different mounting options to put it onto tables or wheelchairs, clamp onto something, anything they need like that. And then lastly, a Tobii eye tracker 4C or 5 does need to be purchased separately. That's because of some software licensing that Tobii has that it's required to be bought by the end user. All right, let's go ahead and go to our software. Okay, so right here we've got a quick picture of the system overall. This is a mount on the table, and then you see the Tobii iBar on the bottom, the Surface Pro tablet, all of that in our case we've made together. All right, so the software itself has 4 main components. Our most important one would probably be the text-to-speech. It's really good for allowing a patient to quickly write phrases, to communicate with loved ones, tell them needs, just talk if they want. And we'll take a little closer look at the specific features in there later. Then next up, we've got the notepad. Once again, it's an easy way for a patient to write things up. This is designed for longer things like the speech that Carl wrote. We've had people write prayers or studies or whatever else. And then you can pull those up later, play them back. It's just a good spot for longer things that need to be delivered. We have 2 versions of a web browser. We have one version with much bigger buttons that are all built into the VisuALS system, less fine-grained control, but it's able to do all of the basics that you need to access the internet. And then we have a different version with smaller buttons that also integrates with Microsoft Eye Control to give the user much more control of what's going on the screen. And then we do have our timers, which allows you to work with how long it takes to do button clicks, adjust volume, anything else to customize the app and make it do exactly what you want it to do. Right, go ahead, next slide. So here we've got our basic text-to-speech screen. We'll look a little bit closer at this during the demo, but what you see here is a nice simple QWERTY keyboard, controls for a cursor so you can move around wherever you need to in the words you're typing, and then some built-in phrase menus we'll look at closer later. All right, go ahead, next slide. Okay, so now we're going to look at some videos how to use the product and then do a little bit of live demonstration as well. Okay, so this is a really thing. It's very good, like Steve said, to make this simple and easy for the end user. What we do when we send this system out, we have it set up so that on launch, the program will boot up ready for eye control to go. And then you'll see our main menu with all of the apps and controls that you need available on that screen, very big and easy to click on.
The VisuALS system has 3 main applications. You can navigate between these 3 using the main menu button located on every screen.
All right, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, so now we're going to take a little closer look at some of the different parts of the program. So we'll look at our text-to-speech, our notepad, our browser, and talk a little bit about Microsoft Eye Control. We've added in support for that, made room for it on the screen, so that once they've gotten used to their eye control, they can use that built-in Microsoft Eye Control functionality to really use the computer however they want to use it very independently. All right, go ahead and start the videos.
To type, our system uses what's called dwell time. Stare at a letter until it selects it. After you finish typing, press Speak at the top left. There are 4 different pages for phrases: Needs, Feelings, Conversation, and Home Automation. The Needs page has all of the basic phrases that you might need to say every single day. The Feelings page has all of the phrases to help easily express how you are feeling at the moment. The Conversation page has all of the phrases that you probably normally say in conversation. And lastly, the Home Automation page contains all of the phrases to control your Alexa, so that you can control your environment. You can also add a phrase to any of these 4 categories, so make sure you watch our next video.
Now that last sentence there was very important. The phrases can be added or edited in any way by the user. So anything they decide they want to be able to say regularly, they can add in very easily in the app as well. All right, go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, so these are some newer features that we have added since making those video tutorials that we'll take a quick look at now.
To be released this month. When the system boots up, it goes right into our application, which is I-enabled immediately. And so this is our main menu, which is also known as Home. And one of the features in our new software is we have a home page and a pause page on every screen. So let's pause it. And what that does is allows me to read the screen without invoking any of the buttons. So we have a text-to-speech, we have a notepad, and we have a web browser, which are our 3 main applications within our software. And then we have an alarm on many pages, and then over here we have our settings, which can set a number of things in there. One thing I don't like right now is that the size of the eyeball, which you see tracking my eyes, is not big enough for my liking, so I'm going to go change that. And so let's resume it so I can go ahead and get into that. All right, so the eyeball settings are right here. And I've got it on. I want to increase the ball size. It's at 20 right now, so you can just kind of check out things for yourself and change it as you wish. And you can do different colors. You can even make the ball clear with an outline, and so that it looks like a circle going around. So let's go back home. My eyes are not steady enough right now. Okay. The alarm does this.
All right, at this point, Steve is going to do a little bit of work with the actual product on screen.
We just wanted to use the video link to show you a system. And so this is it. You can kind of see the size and probably already have some understanding of that at this point. So this is the Surface Pro. This is our case. So it attaches to various mounts from Joy Factory. And so this is standard for them. And then you can purchase different types of mounts, and many people get a wheelchair mount. This is a desktop mount, which is very sturdy, and it's actually magnetic and will actually attach to magnetically to a metal desk or a metal table, which gives it even more security. But you can replace this with a C-clamp, or also a rail attachment that attaches to a wheelchair rail. Anyway, so let's see if I can get this thing to just to show you a little bit how things, and I'm not sure we'll be able to get all of it lined up, but go over and type in a word or two. So that wasn't very loud, but just to give you an idea of how it using that, actually pretty easy to work. I don't have any great special skills. I don't work on this every day, but we've had customers. The idea was to have them be able to, within minutes, half an hour of getting in front of the system, they're able to operate on the system. And so that's a short little demonstration we wanted to give you, and try to illustrate that we're trying to keep things very simple and very easy to use. Anyway, let's move on. So for the future plans, we've got some future plans. One reason I didn't type them in here was they're somewhat fluid right now. We're working on some plans and the funding for it, but the current product, we plan to have a release this month, which we mentioned the eyeball and the pause resume buttons. And then we have a little bit of cleanup of the look on some of the screens. The videos that we showed you, the first three were older videos. They're from the original months that we had the product, and we've evolved the software quite a bit since then. And so some things that we're looking at is having the adding capabilities to the current product. We're working on maybe being able to have the user be able to take pictures using their eyes and record audio and play back with their eyes. And then they certainly can download Kindle already, and using the Microsoft Eye Control, do a various number of apps that we're looking at embedding in our application so that they can do it more easily. And then we're looking at, as I mentioned, exporting and officially getting into the capability to export, which may not be that important to this group. And then one of the last things is we have approval for funding from TEP, which I'll talk about a little bit more in some different things, but we're working, starting to work on getting an insurance approval for the product, and that's a fairly lengthy process, as we understand. We hope it's not that long, but we will be working with the FDA and with insurance companies to see if we can get these under insurance contracts. One of the reasons for our low cost or pricing is to try to get in under the copay, in the range of the copay or of the solutions that are in the $10,000 to $15,000 range. And so we've had a target to be equivalent to them under most insurance coverage, and so give them an equivalent choice But if those who are not covered by insurance, then we have a very clear price advantage. And then a couple of products in the works that we have. We're working on an Android version of the product. There are no good eye gaze technologies for the Android that we have seen in our research to date, but we have had that product be implemented with head tracking. And so it tracks your head. And so that's another alternative for those who don't have a problem with strength in their neck or with moving their head to move the mouse around. And it, again, works on a dwell. If you hold the mouse in place long enough, that it will trigger the click. And then we're also working on an ICU version, intensive care version, or a clinic version, that where we build in a lot more capability in two fronts. One front is simplifying things even further to help a clinician or a person in a hospital room be able to have the patient almost immediately be able to use the system without calibration. So eye gaze takes calibration, as most everyone knows, and you do need to calibrate ours. It takes about 1 to 2 minutes to calibrate ours. One reason we chose it is the calibration for Tobii for the eye gaze is very quick, and so for the gaming product. And so again, that's very quick. However, we've had some customers, some patients or potential customers who were just not able to hold their eyes in one spot, kind of like I was having a little trouble in the video, or were just a little bit past where they had enough control to do it. And so we're just saying, let's make even bigger buttons and some good choices. So two things we definitely would add in that regard is a one page with just yes and no buttons to get people started, just answering questions. And then a page for the phrases, and just pull them out and isolate them, and then have a very easy screens to navigate and to use for built-in phrases. On the other front, we have some items we're looking at for being able to diagnose how well people can use their eyes. And so we have a target concept, and being able to work with a clinician to evaluate on the system how well they're able to use their eyes and use the system. And then we have we're building in questionnaires and the ability to create questionnaires where a patient could answer questions while they're in the office. And many times you have your introductory work where you want to know different things about them, and so they could answer those, and then that's stored and able to be looked at by the clinician. Anyway, so any suggestions on those would be great. So we're working on those and working to try to demonstrate those this month or next month. And on that second one, well, both of them actually, the Android and what we call the ICU clinic version. Anyway, so that just gives you a little snapshot of some of the future thoughts we have. Getting into pricing, our system, the entire package that Andrew talked about is $2,700. And so that includes a Surface Pro, the case, the Bluetooth keyboard and speaker, and our software on it. And then the Tobii iBar needs to be purchased separately because of legalities and arrangements with the licensing. Their latest price is $229. So our whole goal has been below $3,000 for the whole package. And so it's at that point and have been for a while. We can, a customer can add in additional mounts for $120 to $150 each. I guess I should mention that what's also included in the system cost there is one mount of your choice of the 4, and then shipping is free for UPS ground. But we've had many customers choose an additional mount, so they'll get one desktop mount and one wheelchair mount. And then we have backpacks and some logo where we have had some bags, and we need to reorder those. Those are not available now, but those had our logo on it, you know, swag. And then you can opt for speeder shipping, like 2-day shipping or overnight, which some customers want the system very quickly, and so they opt for that. In terms of discounts and funding, as Amy mentioned earlier, our institutional discount for AT Act programs, and also we presented last week at a webinar to the ALS Association, and so 10% for first one, for one, and then 20% for 2 or more. And so those who purchased 4 and 5 systems, they had 20% on every system that they bought. And then for individuals, we have a discount of 10% using what we call the Carl Fund. We had a fund started in the honor of Carl Phelps that we had many donations to, and that you see that toward the bottom, and it's to be used for individuals at this point. I can't use it for paying my students, but it's for giving those who have a little trouble paying for it a discount. And right now we're up to 10%. Donations have been made. We still take donations on that. And then we apply it upon request. So as long as we have funds in there, we will apply it when an individual asks for it and says they have a need to use that. And then we'll apply the discount and then use the money from that fund for it. So we're offering it blanket to any individual until August 14th that comes through AT Act program, that based on your recommendation, they come to us and get one, that they will get a 10% discount as well. And then we do have a loaner program where we'll send you a system for a month to use. And that way you get a chance to try it live and try it out. We have had some groups, and most of these have been to ALS associations so far. So just this month, and the last 2 months actually, we've been in touch with the AT Act programs, and our Oklahoma program has been very supportive of us. But we sent them a loaner at the end of May that they had till the end of June, and we're able to test drive it and try to break it and whatever they wanted to do on it. And we only do these for institutions because we have to write a little contract and make sure they get back. But this has been something a lot of groups have taken advantage of, and that way you can use the system and not have to just buy it before you have any use of it. One of the things that some ALS associations have done is they have taken a loaner and they have themselves loaned it to an individual for 2 or 3 weeks of the month. And that's just fine, that's acceptable. And many times that's a great way to do it and see how well the user adapts to it and gets up to speed on it. And if it looks good, then we certainly appreciate the recommendation from the organization. I'm going to hand it back to Andrew to conclude the presentation here. And so he's got a couple slides, and then the last one has our contact information on it.
All right. I think this is probably my favorite slide to talk about. So this
You
is
wrote it.
people should consider VisuALS. So number one, we're a startup small business. So what that means is purchasing from us helps us to grow and be able to support more people that need assistive technology. And then we also, because we're a small business, answer the phone ourselves. We don't have a big call center. If you're picking up the phone, it's going to be Steve or I answering. We'll be able to talk you through things. We don't transfer. We don't put on hold. We are with you, helping you out. We know the answers to the questions. And if we don't, we're talking back and forth and getting something figured out and getting back to you. It's not some big impersonal thing. And then finally, We also take your requests for features and improvements very seriously. We love to hear feedback from our customers. We love to add new features based off of what we hear should be added to the system. And because we don't have decades of experience doing this, we're very open to input and feedback on ways we can improve and add new things or fix things. And then second off, I think this one's very important. We primarily employ college students. So when you're purchasing from us, the money that we have is then able to be used to pay our students to do software development and add those new features. And that's giving work experience. I have friends that started working here right after their freshman year, getting experience that at some schools you don't get until your junior or senior year. So this work experience so soon is very valuable. And you're also helping to give these students time to learn about and get interested and excited about assistive technology. So these are people that may potentially decide to take this as a career path with their engineering or software degree when they're ready with it. So these purchases can have a powerful impact on the future of AT. And then finally, the money that the students are getting are helping pay for bills and tuition, helping us get through college, reducing debt and stuff like that. So like I said, I think it's very important to consider these things when thinking about visuals. And just to recap, like Steve said at the beginning, we work very hard to be an affordable system, and we work very hard to keep this simple and easy to use, easy to pick up and get going very quickly. And then we are supportive. Like I said, we are the ones answering the phone. We take our calls seriously and we keep up with you guys, make sure everything is going all right. So here's our contact information. Our website is visuals.tech. And if you want to get in contact with us over email, you can reach me with Andrew@visuals.tech, and you can reach Steve with Steve@visuals.tech. And then our number you can call is 866-767-4997. At this point, I believe that we're ready to start taking the questions I see have been coming in through the chat.
Great, very helpful presentation. And we do have a few questions. So one of the questions is, we did hear you say that you're working on getting insurance to pay. So I assume that includes Medicaid?
Medicaid, yes.
So it's not done, it's not a
That's
done
what we're
deal
going to
yet?
try. We don't know a lot about it right now, but that's something, you know, we don't have someone full time. We can go research it, but as we're looking into this, we're taking the first step, and then it would be approval for, that's a good point. I mentioned the insurance companies, but Medicaid, I should have on my list as a specific group to go talk to.
Yeah, as well as Medicare.
Yes.
Great.
Very good reminder. Yes. Thank you.
And we did hear from Utah, which is a great reminder that many of our state ATAC programs have programs that provide financing or small grants and loans to purchase assistive technology. So if you go, and I know that you know where to find the directory of state AT programs. In that directory, you can look up state financing and search via state financing, because those are great programs. If people can't shell out the money all at once, it can be really affordable in monthly payments. So thanks to Dan from Utah for reminding us about the alternative financing programs or the state financing programs.
So, Amy, I had a question on that. Do we need to get on any sort of approval list, or is that just something where those in the ATAC program, and then also us, we could refer them, people who call us, say, look into your ATAC program at this site or this phone number, and direct them to that funding source. Is that?
Yes, please do the latter.
Yes, okay.
So
That's
once
great.
once you have a consumer who wants your product and is needing ways to fund it, please point them to their ATAC program, who may also know of other local resources in their state that are particular to their state. So we have some general excitement about your system. There was also a question about the eyeball. What does the eyeball exactly do? Is that the cursor, so to speak?
Okay, you want to take that, Andrew? You want me to?
I'll take that. So the eyeball is essentially a cursor. It's a larger representation of where it is that you are looking at the screen. A nice, easy color to be able to spot, make sure you know exactly where you're looking, that you're clicking on the buttons you want to click on. So yes, it is just a graphical representation of where your eye is looking and where you're going to click.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, one of the things, Amy, on that is kind of interesting. The first videos had the Tobii gaze tracer, where that was kind of that bubble that looked a little bit like an amoeba following the eyes. And then we developed the eyeball as a kind of a more fun alternative than a plain little whitish circle. And it has color choices, and the outline can be different colors. So I like putting my alma mater's colors for it, you know, and things like that. And then, but also you can use neither one. Some, I have a few that say that's distracting, so they just turn them off and just trust where their eyes are and invoke the characters just fine. And both of those are just ways to indicate to you where your eyes are.
Great, thank you. So we did have a question whether the device can be used for telephone communication.
Yes, we've had people use it. It's kind of in conjunction with the phone. So we have some applications on the computer where you can download something like Google Voice and work with that. But we've had people just to simply use the phrases and have their caregiver answer their phone and then talk on the phone live and then have them hang it up. The texting we don't do natively inside the application, but you can do actually phone calls and texting over those applications that can do it on the internet. And so you can go through our web browser and do those. So we have people using the web browser for all sorts of things like that, a few like that. But that actually, I should have mentioned that in future plans, is one of the things we have talked about and been trying to figure out how to actually have the person be able to answer the phone themselves and hang up the phone. And we understand one of our users in Tulsa has been set up that way by someone who's worked very closely with this. And I was going to try to get a video or something put together so we could show that where it's actually an app working with our app that will enable that. He did it. He set it up so he can make emergency phone calls and using his eyes.
Great. We had another question about how your system works if people are wearing glasses, sunglasses, contacts, etc.
There is no issue with anything, and I haven't. If it's clear and the system can detect the pupils. In fact, some gamers will use goggles with that thing anyway. And but glasses, I have a calibration set up on my system that's with glasses and without glasses, so I can test that at times. But it works as well with glasses and contacts as it does with uncovered eyes.
Great.
You just have to calibrate to that, right? With the way they want it. Now we've had a little trouble with bifocals, or it actually will calibrate, but then we'll see with the bifocals sometimes them being able to see what they're looking at if they're in the wrong part of the bifocal. And so I kind of suggest maybe having a single lens glass, glasses that work with a computer distance, right? But we've had very little problems with glasses, or I'm not sure I've had anybody specifically tell me about goggles.
Great. Thank you. So at this time, there's no new chat and no new questions for you. So we will wrap it up. Folks, the link to the webinar survey is in the chat. If you're having difficulty with it, no worries. You will be getting a follow-up email. We did have an additional 2 questions under the wire. Would it work with a voice-activated phone?
Is there, so ask that again, a voice-activated what?
Telephone.
If there is one, then you absolutely could use that. Right, so you could use a phrase that you build in yourself that says answer the phone or hang up the phone if it's voice activated. You could get it to work off our text to speech. One reason we refined and developed that product so much is we've had home automation through Alexa or Google Home have a lot of capabilities like things like that. And Carl was funny because he knew more what to do on his TV than I did. And so a voice activated phone would be a great thing to pair up with it.
Great. Another question, are 2 pupils needed? What about a person who only has one eye?
Yes, it has a calibration setting that Toby has provided that they can calibrate to either eye or both eyes.
Cool. Okay. As I was saying in my wrap up, you will be getting an email with the link for the survey, as well as the link is in the chat. The other thing I hope you all know is that in a week or perhaps 10 days, the video from today, the caption video, will be on the AT3 YouTube channel. If you have any difficulty finding the AT3 YouTube channel, a fast way to do it is to go to at3center.net, and on the footer, there is a link to our social media and to YouTube. And then if you subscribe, you will no longer have a problem finding the AT3 channel. So thanks again, everyone, for attending, and thanks to our presenters. We look forward to your product, either borrowing it or buying it, or certainly helping people who need such a product learn about your system and how it compares with others on the market. Thanks everyone for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having us, Amy.
You are most welcome. Have a good afternoon, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Good afternoon.